Does your Klaviyo dashboard look like this? Not to worry, by the end of the video, you'll know exactly how to pull out of this death spiral and get your Klaviyo revenue back on track and better than ever. So I'm recording this smack dab in the middle of Q3. Even in the middle of a slow season like this, we've been able to generate almost $30,000 for a fashion brand, 31% of total revenue coming in from email, another $32,000 for a wholesale printing business, about 28% of total revenue, $18,000 for a cannabis brand, 38% of total revenue, and over $50K in flow revenue for an outdoors brand, and that's because we only manage their flows. Today I'm pulling back the curtain and showing you 4 things that's holding back your Klaviyo account from growing and generating more revenue. I'm Nikita from aspectagency.com, and let's jump right in. We've audited hundreds of Klaviyo accounts, and the first thing we look at when we see low revenue is how well their pop-ups are performing. Your email results are purely dependent on your email list, specifically how many new people are subscribing to your email list. There's a trickle-down effect, especially when it comes to pop-ups. A low converting pop-up will lead to lower opt-ins, a smaller list to send to, and eventually lower revenue. On the inverse, a high converting pop-up will fuel your Klaviyo account with a bigger list, more people going through your flows, and more revenue. I've literally seen brands generate an extra 10 grand per month simply because they switched out their pop-up. So if you have a sub 5% pop-up conversion rate, get this fixed ASAP. And I've actually made a video on the secret sauce to highly converting pop-ups. And after the video, if you want to click up here or go down into the description below, you can check that out. Time to talk about the least sexy topic in email marketing, and that's email deliverability. It doesn't matter how big or how small your list is, if your emails aren't landing in people's inboxes, they're just not going to see them, and you're not going to generate any revenue. Poor deliverability and excellent deliverability are the difference between your campaign making $160 or $1,500. We've done this with dozens of brands, and at this point, deliverability is the make it or break it. There's a few things that you can do to get your deliverability back on track. Number 1, install Google Postmasters. It'll help you track your domain reputation, your spam complaint rate, your authentication for your email records, and make sure that everything is working properly, and if it isn't, you can then improve upon it. Number 2, make sure that your email records are set up correctly, specifically your DMARC record and your dedicated sending domain record. You can quickly verify if your DMARC is set up correctly using DMARCian. Just use the link down below and simply just put in your domain, and it'll tell you if you have your DMARC set up correctly and if everything is looking good. Now for your dedicated sending domain, it's just as easy. Go to your Klaviyo account, go to settings, and then go to domains, and under domains it should say active for your dedicated sending domain. If you don't see this, set this up as soon as possible. Number 3, go through your deliverability tab on your most recent campaigns, and if you see that most of your email subscribers are from one inbox provider, for the most part it's going to be Gmail, and your inbox provider open rate is sub 20%, then you have a problem here. This means you'll need to get on the deliverability rehab program and cut down your sending list to the most recently engaged users, and then work your way up from there. I've gone really in depth with the subject of deliverability before, and everything that you need to know up here or down in the description. Now that we got all that boring stuff out of the way, it's time to get into the juicy strategies. When looking at our highest performing clients, one thing that they all have in common is majority of their email revenue is coming in from email flows, regardless of how many campaigns they send per month. Obviously, it all depends on the client and the niche that they're in, but typically we see 50 to 70% of email revenue coming in from flows. So if you don't have your flows set up correctly, it's costing you thousands of dollars per month. Low flow revenue comes down to 3 main issues. First, I would check to see if your Klaviyo account is properly syncing with your Shopify account. If it isn't, then your cart abandonment or any of your cart-based automations could be misfiring and less carts are recovered. To do this, just go to your integrations and then click on Shopify. Scroll all the way down until you see recent data. And this is where you can see if you've had the most recent events actually happen within the last hour, last 2 hours. If it's been a couple weeks, then you need to re-import your historical data and resync your Shopify account. Second, I would check your master newsletter list and see if it has double or single opt-in enabled. When you create any list, Klaviyo defaults to double opt-in, which significantly reduces the amount of emails that you can actually send to. Basically, once someone submits their email through your pop-up or buy something or abandons checkout, they get a confirmation email from Klaviyo confirming if they want to be subscribed. If they don't see that email or they don't click confirm, they're not technically subscribed. And the percentage of people actually confirming is super low, sometimes sub 10%. And this causes a major bottleneck to the amount of people getting your emails. So go to your email list settings right now and make sure that you have single opt-in checked. You can thank me later. Third, and most important, is having an outdated strategy. Check your Klaviyo account. When was the last time you touched your email flows? I know for the most part, flows are a set and forget, but if it's been a couple years, most likely they need to be refreshed. The world of e-commerce moves at the speed of sound. Most of these strategies that worked 3 or 4 years ago are most likely out of date. A good example of this would be the abandoned checkout flow, the king of cart recovery. Now, maybe not so much. Since Shopify implemented one-click checkout, for the clients that have this enabled, we actually have abandoned browse and abandoned cart and abandoned site flows perform way better than abandoned checkout. And this is just a sign of changing times. So make sure you have your welcome flow, abandoned checkout, abandoned cart, abandoned browse, abandoned site, post-purchase, cross-sell, and then some of these flows are kind of nice to have, but having a win-back flow, a birthday flow, purchase anniversary flow, and a sunset flow. Would you want me to cover some of these flows in my future videos? Just let me know down in the comments below. Now for this last point, I want us to slow down. Take a deep breath, and let's take a moment to reflect and ask ourselves, are the emails that we're sending actually good? I know that might be a heated question, but let's think about this. Email is just another content delivery platform, just like TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. If you post a video on TikTok and it only gets a handful of views, most likely it probably wasn't a good video, or the first impression wasn't relevant to the audience. Same goes for email. And most of the time, it's not even the content itself, but the layout and how the email is presented to the subscriber. Let's put ourselves in the customer's shoe for a second. They signed up through your pop-up to get a 10% off coupon code. They get the email, they open it, and the first thing they see is a story about the brand, all of the products that the brand offers, and all the way at the bottom of the email is the actual discount code. Can we see what's wrong here? The subscriber is getting shown irrelevant content, so when they open up that email, they're going to bounce. I know this is a silly example, but we've audited big 8-figure brands that are still making the same mistake. When creating emails, make sure to use the upside down pyramid structure. Have the most important topic first, then the brand content, and then general content. So if your email is about the best hiking spots in America, and the first thing a person sees is a promotion about hiking boots, they're going to click off because to them, that first section is irrelevant. We want to restructure this to the actual best hiking spots in America being the first thing they see. Then we get into some of the brand promotions that you have after you've gone through the content. And then at the end, for general side of things, you can include a story about you, a story about how you've traveled these spots, or just plug in your Instagram. Make sure to provide on what you promised in the subject line and then do your promo. That first above the fold section should be treated with the utmost respect. It's valuable space. It should be contextual to what the subject line and the email is about. And the goal of email is for the person to take the next step. The subject line gets the open, the above the fold delivers on what the subject line promises, which causes them to scroll further down and check the rest of the content out, which then converts into actual revenue. In that above the fold section, make sure to keep it relevant with a relevant headline, a relevant image, a call to action, and any relevant little paragraph or sentences that make sense about the topic. And when done right, this will increase your click-through rate and most importantly, generate you way more money per email sent. Now, I hope you learned something new, and if you like the video, hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. And I think you're gonna like this video right here that I just made recently. So go ahead and check that out. And I'll see you in the next one.